Hi, everybody. As I work on this, just doing a few things, I want to just mention that I feel a lot better this week after all of this other stuff that I've been going on with my medical stuff is done. I feel a lot better. My voice is better even. I got through this today early, and I just struggled with this for several weeks because of my voice, and I was just so distracted with things. But, oh God. But I feel a lot better. I hope it stays that way for me. I got that. I know what I'm doing here. I'm trying to talk and chew gum at the same time. This is just the beginning of... I'll go through this later and correct some of the things that I know are wrong with it, or I find that are wrong with it anyway. But right now I'm just going through and doing the headlines for each piece that was in the newspaper back in 1915. If anything, the problems that I have now have more to do with my eyesight. I notice over the last year or so, it's getting a little more difficult for me to see things. And I used to be nearsighted, and now I'm more nearsighted than I am farsighted. I could take my glasses off sometimes and see just as good as I can with them on. That's new to me. I guess with macular degeneration, my one eye has gotten stronger. I don't know why they didn't do this when I was a little boy. I mean, I might not be wearing glasses today. I love you more offices than candidates. I don't know. I got to look back and see what that was. That certainly it wasn't the headline. Just was more. I was listening to a jazz station, and it must have picked that up off a song that was playing on the radio. I usually have Alexa going in my background here while I'm working, and I was playing a jazz station this morning, and I had to turn it off because it was beginning to pick up on what I was doing here. So you have jazz lyrics scattered through this stuff. Okay, I'm almost done. Okay, now with this, I'll go through and correct the things that are wrong. Like here, it's Simon's. Yeah, okay, that looks okay. How many pages do I have this week? I've got 8, but it's a lot of. Some of it's good information. Things that are like here in 1915, coming up on the election. As it says here, more offices than candidates. People didn't want to run for office, especially in council. They're having problems finding people who would run for council. In council, as this article that I have here points out, that council is almost more important than mayor, because council makes the decision. Vermilion has what they call a strong council, weak mayor system of government. The mayor is a leader, but he's not the legislator. The councilmen or council people are the legislators. It's still that way today. But for some reason they were having problems finding people to run for office. Not too much from the outlying communities for some reason. I ran this article here I wouldn't normally do this, but I do it sometimes for myself when I find things like this. But here it says, Mrs. E.T. Bottomley received word Tuesday at the death of her only sister, Mrs. Noble, L.W. Noble, at her home in Minneapolis. Mrs. Noble made an extended visit. That Mrs. E.T. Bottomley was my great-grandmother on my mother's side of the family. And so this would have been my mother's aunt. Thinking about great aunt. Wait a minute. It's her sister, so it would be my mother's aunt. But in any case, I don't know anything about those people back in Minnesota, because they came from Minnesota, and this helps me maybe retrace to see where the family was. It's hard. I can find census data going back to Minnesota, but it's not a whole bunch. Like I understood my great-grandfather on that side of the family, E.T. Ernest Bottomley, he had a store, a confectionery store, which I assume they sold candy, but I'm not sure exactly what exactly that entailed. I think that, to be quite honest, I think confectionaries at one point in time probably meant that they sold some medications as well. But in any case, that's why I added this on here. So it's more for myself than other people who are going through this. Probably people won't pay too much attention to any of what I've done here. Here's something of interest. The Vermilion retail markets, how much stuff was back in 1915. Like a half bushel basket of tomatoes was 20 cents, or the chickens alive 14 cents. I assume that's a pound. And chickens dressed 19 cents a pound. Butter 28 to 38 cents. Eggs 30 cents. Apples were 20 cents a peck. Peaches 25 cents. Although the prices seem cheap to us today, a penny was worth a little more than it is today. So although this is cheap, very cheap to us, it wasn't cheap, especially cheap to people back then.